Good evening,
Hello.
everybody. Welcome to After the Weekend, the show where we talk about movies.
After the weekend.
Yep. And we have a seriously special movie today. Seriously special.
Yep.
So thank you all for coming. Hello, Avery. Good morning, Sam. It's Tuesday morning over there in Dubai. I hope you have you're gonna have a good breakfast.
Yes.
And I hope you're ready for this rumble. It's not a rumble, it's a
Review.
A nice review. Sorry about that. I got caught with the rumble last night, which I wasn't able to get to. I hope Tabitha will be joining us from wherever she is, at least listening in. And Dan, I hope Dan is here because, again, I'm giving a huge shout out to his Inside the Hoodie booth. Inside the booth hoodie, sorry. And
it's been a long day for everybody, so forgive us if we get tongue-tied.
Yeah, sorry about that. And Sam, I will have tea first. Oh, cool. Well, if you do, I hope you enjoy it. I really don't like that much tea. I don't know about you, Rick. Do you like tea?
I do like tea. I'm not a big coffee person, and between the two, I usually go for tea. So.
Whereas I go for coffee. There's nothing like a rich, flavory,
Well, where you are, I have to imagine you probably have some pretty good coffee, though.
I do, actually. We do have good coffee down here.
I bet.
Anyway, thank you for coming. We are going to be reviewing one of our, I can't say it's like the only favorite. It's like one of my favorite movies, which is why I chose it. And we've had a huge response from the Twitterverse. Actually, it has been amazing.
I was shocked at everybody's reaction to us doing this. Like, I wouldn't have guessed. I mean,
amazing.
I do like this movie a lot. I probably wouldn't say it's one of my favorite, but it is a really good movie, though. I mean, it's definitely something I remember watching as a kid a lot. And even today, I still enjoy it. It's still a great movie to watch.
So we did have a guest, but unfortunately, he has had a
home emergency. And so, unfortunately, yes, we will not have Ro with us tonight, but that's how things go sometimes. We're going to miss him, but definitely, hopefully, we could have him again on the show in the future. So,
and if you want to hear his thoughts, I mean, I think that in every podcast, you can listen to different opinions, and people kind of say different things that they thought they should have said before, and they're going to say it now. But if you do want to hear his opinion on Willow, you can go check out the episode they did with the Force of
with Natalie and Michelle.
Yes. So if you guys want to hear him, go check that out. It's about an hour and a half long. But yeah, I mean, he is on there, and he talks about his love for Willow, and like I said, everybody has their, like, they share different stuff. They share different thoughts on different podcasts. So I hope we have him here again. And if he's hearing us right now, Ro, we would still love you to have you here.
Mm-hmm. And we hope that everything's okay back at the house with your emergency too. So fingers crossed for you, buddy.
1988. I can't believe it was 1988. Actually, I didn't know. I thought. I remember that it was like the late the 90s, some sort of thing. But I didn't remember that it was 1988.
I remember TV commercials for this movie, though.
You do?
I do remember seeing TV commercials advertising for this movie. I mean, I was little, I was 5, but I do remember that, and being excited for it. And there's a couple other things. I'll bring it up too as we go along, so I don't want to spoil it all. But as we get to it, yeah, I'll mention a couple other things. But yeah, no, I remember this. This was a summer movie too, for 1988. Came out May 20th.
Yes.
And if anybody wants to guess real quick in the chat what they think the budget was for this.
Any guesses for the budget? And no cheating on Google.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, while we wait, Willow is a good movie. The brownies are my favorite. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, the brownies. Brownies are a pretty good part of that movie.
Yeah.
Sam says 20 million. That's a good guess. It's a little higher, 35 million, which would be 84.3 million in today's dollars here in the U.S. Now, and then we'll do another one. Box office. What do you guys think the box office was for this?
So you're talking about 20 million.
So Avery always goes in so low on his guesses.
Yes. He goes, I'm way off. Sorry, Avery.
Yeah. No. Sorry.
Box office. Anybody? Any guesses?
Anybody? Give it 10 seconds here.
Yeah. While we're waiting just a little bit, I do have some interesting info on brownies, and I'm not talking about the dessert, obviously, but
100 million
brownies.
Same with 100 million. So you were off, unfortunately. So box office was only 57.3 million, which is still a lot of money back then. That would have been 138 million today, which you know, that's still a lot of money. But it was not a commercial success at the theater. It actually was a bomb. This opened up against Crocodile Dundee, which at the time did almost 240 million at the box office in $88, which would have been 554 million today. Yes,
that's another good movie. Dundee was another good movie. Wow.
Yeah, but this movie though did find its success at home, you know, video rentals, home theater, and that's where it became, you know, a hit through that.
And just saying hello to our good friend the Dunadan.
And Tom from Rogue Disney is here.
Yeah, he's gonna lurk for a little bit, and then I'm pretty sure he has stuff to do. But thank you so much for coming. It really helps the algorithms, and it's just really nice to get to chat with you guys. So actually, this is amazing because after the theatrical release, it wasn't a hit. It was okay. It was liked, you could say, but it wasn't a hit. But afterwards, it kind of like it became a cult, just like Labyrinth. Exactly the same. You know, box office was not good. People did not like it. But after the years, people started to dig into the story. They started to realize how good it was. And nowadays, it is a beloved movie. You know? Both of them. You know?
Yeah.
So,
and I think, you know, this was a movie too. I think marketing, it wasn't marketed very well, even though shockingly I said I remember seeing commercials for it. But I think that was kind of the issue because, you know, Star Wars was still big. I mean, this was 5 years after the last Star Wars movie. And two, if we didn't mention, this was written by George Lucas. This is a George Lucas story. And it was directed by Ron Howard, who was somewhat new into his directing career, but he had a couple of years prior did Cocoon, which was a big movie. In fact, he skipped on doing Cocoon 2 to make this movie.
Another great movie. Cocoon.
Yeah. So he passed on the sequel because he wanted to work with George Lucas. And years later, he didn't work with George Lucas, but he did do a Star Wars movie. He did technically take over directing duties on Solo, which that's another review for another day.
Da, 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 da. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, for example, what Sam says, man, rentals back in the day went a long way. How do you quantify these days? That's a good question, actually.
I don't think they really do because there's not rentals anymore in the same way. You know, we don't have video stores, so they do base it off streaming, and you know, I think they do base things off of like the digital rental and purchasing. But I almost think that they kind of lump those two categories together now. I don't know. You don't really hear a lot about the two. You just hear about digital, you know, just like how much it did on digital, which again, I don't know if they're counting both. Then again, a lot of movies too that come out on digital nowadays too, the first, I want to say month or two, it is purchase only anyways. You can't really rent it. You can actually, now you can't rent a movie until later as opposed to sooner. You know, it's kind of opposite, it almost seems like. So yeah, I don't think they factor that in a whole lot. Yeah, Redbox. Redbox is kind of the closest thing to an actual, I don't know if you have those down there in Peru, the Redbox.
No, I use Sub Today for my movies, or Popcorn Time, which is an app.
Well, think like a vending machine. It's a red vending machine full of DVDs in a thin case, and you can rent them, and you can rent games, or you can even buy stuff too out of them now.
Wow. Okay.
And and then you just return them to any Redbox. That's the closest thing to a rental store here in the U.S. now.
Well, because Blockbuster.
Or if you live in Bend, Oregon, is the last surviving Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, get out of here! Really? Wow.
Yeah. And there's actually a documentary about it, but we are getting off topic with talking about rentals. So.
Yes. So, well, it was because of Willow. So, for those of you who have not seen Willow, and be warned, we are going to get into spoilers now. So, spoiler alert coming, huh?
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so Willow. We got Warwick Davis, great actor.
Yes.
We got Val Kilmer. Okay, I mean, he's not the greatest of the great actors, but he did a really, really good job here. Okay.
Yeah.
And when I was hearing a little bit of Ro in the other podcast, he did say something that was really good, which is the plot is basically a classic story, a classic hero story in which the character, you see how he actually develops into a strong, confident main character, as opposed to a Mary Sue or a perfect. What would be a man? A man's type of Mary Sue, because you got a woman, you got Mary Sue.
Yeah. I cannot think of an example. If anybody in the chat has one, throw it in there, let us know. But I can't really think.
For a man and Mary Sue. So, and Dunadan said when saw Willow in the theaters, loved it. Oh, good. You're lucky, yeah. Okay, we got a Gary Sue. Okay, fine, that's fine.
A Gary Sue.
So, Gary Stew. Sorry.
Gary Stew.
Right. Okay. So we're going to be talking about Gary Stew. Okay. As opposed to having a Gary Stew, who is perfect at the beginning and just supposedly gets even more perfect in the end. You have somebody who is aspiring, yes. Okay, so the main character is aspiring, but he is extremely he's extremely wary about his own self. You know?
Yeah.
Lack of confidence. Yeah. No. And that takes a toll during like the whole trip, like the whole journey. You know? So that was really good, like in the plot story.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would like to add.
Yeah, no, I mean that is. I mean that's definitely a good description, and he is somebody too that he does lack confidence throughout the film, but he's always got a kind of a hero's heart, though. I mean, he always wants to do the right thing, even when he's scared.
And that's one of the classic elements of a good story, you know. And it's something that is life learning, which is something that also Ro mentioned. It's something that we like, the human nature has it and wants to keep learning it, and it's good to like remember that in different aspects. Whereas if you have a Gary Stu who is always perfect, always gets it right, you know, like everybody gets bored. Everybody gets bored, you know. Even Mad Mardigan. I mean, Mad Mardigan was he was not perfect.
Now, when I've watched this movie like 3 times, probably within the past 2 months, and you know, Mad Mardigan kind of is Willow's Han Solo in a way. If you kind of think of it, I mean, he starts off as being a scoundrel and very selfish, just thinking about himself. And then as it does progress, though, he does start to do the right thing, and he himself becomes the hero that he always could have been. But we don't quite get his whole story as to why he is the way he is or what's happened to him. We do kind of hear a little bit of people kind of talk about him being a thief, and he is kind of a little spineless at times, but then he is extremely courageous when he has to go up against a foe too, which we see that he never backs down from a challenge when he's faced with it. So even he has kind of a very redeeming arc in this movie.
I think you nailed it when you said redeeming arc, because that's what happens to him. He does redeem himself. And when you said, he is a scoundrel, because a thief, I wouldn't call him a thief. There's no.
He's called a thief though by the character of Eric, but we don't kind of hear about that. But I'm just saying that is something that he's actually called in the movie. But yeah, he's not a thief in the movie though.
No, he's not. And hello, Writing Raven. Thank you so much for coming, and Master TDS.
Thank you, Master TDS, for joining us.
And
I'm assuming that they're probably driving.
Yes, they are probably. I hope you guys had a good day at work. And I didn't say hello to JT Gunter. Thank you so much for subscribing.
Thank you for being here, JT. Happy to have you here.
Yeah.
He's also he recently joined our Discord.
Oh,
so we love to have him there too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
So, and for example, so I think that I like the plot is an original good story. It was extremely relevant, and it's a very, very simple story. Very simple, it's just a small character. And that's what's amazing, because if you see this, I compare this kind of like with The Hobbit. Not The Hobbit, sorry, the Lord of the Rings. Well, you can do it with The Hobbit, but The Hobbit is more like their small adventures. But in Lord of the Rings, there's a lot more plot going in. So it's the smallest character, because he even tells him he's even small for an Elwyn. You know,
Yes.
you have the smallest character, the weakest. He's not a warrior. He's just a farmer aspiring to be a sorcerer, but he is a farmer. Okay, a family man. You know, so he's, and I'm gonna get to that because there's a small part that was just, oh man, this is like so real. He's a family man, and yet he is in charge of taking care of one of the most precious things in that universe, which is in this case a baby. You know, so and in the Lord of the Rings, it's the same thing. You know, you have humans, you have wizards. Okay, I'm butchering the name wizards, but they have a different name. I think the Dunedain can help me with that. He knows a lot more of Lord of the Rings lore than I do. But you got like the Gandalf, you know, the race of Gandalf. You have the elves, and well, you have also
orcs and goblins too.
You got orcs. You got But the thing is that the hobbits, the hobbits are the ones in charge of bearing, well, in this case, Frodo, of bearing the ring, you know, the most precious thing of that era.
And she's not just a baby, too. She's a baby she's a princess, and, you know, she has this legacy that she's going to overthrow this evil queen. You know, her survival is pendant on her, overthrowing this.
Also, she has a consciousness that babies her age do not. Now, something that really caught my attention when I saw it again, like very, very recently, was the fact that when the baby is born to when she is left in the river, her hair grows. So I'm assuming that months have passed. Months have passed, not just days. We're talking about, you know, more time for a baby to have those, like, that beautiful red, you know, curly hair. He was so adorable, so gorgeous. So,
you know, fun fact, I don't know if you knew this, but that baby was played by Natalie from Force of Light.
Oh no!
I'm kidding. But she made that joke during the review, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
They got a really good baby to play that part. Well, they had twins, but just how much expression they got out of her was great. And, you know, like you said, the kind of the self-awareness of moments where kind of if there was something going on, they always did cut to her to show her reaction, which was really great.
They did it. And if you guys look up on Google Willow baby now, you can see her. You can actually see her. And I heard, this is just a rumor. I don't know if this is true. If it is, I hope they do it well and they don't butcher like a whole legacy. They are going to expand on that universe in some sort of series. I don't know if it's Netflix, HBO.
No, Disney Plus has said what they're going to do. So.
Okay, I'm dying. All right. So yeah, Dunedain, they're called wizards, at least in Middle Earth. Okay, thank you. I know they have a name because I heard the Melonheads. Shout out to the Melonheads. If you guys like Lord of the Rings, like the deep lore, I highly suggest their podcast. It's really interesting. And I know that they have a different name, but I just don't remember right now. Anyway. So, oh gosh. No, it's like, oh my gosh. Like, why don't
Somebody Google this for Maria before she goes nuts.
And I had my Gothic therapy this morning. I had it. I listened to it. Like the whole thing is, this is going to calm me down, like for my Monday. And it was a good video, by the way. Shout out. Go check out that video.
Yes, that was a very good video.
It was a really good video. Writing Raven, TDS. It was a great video. So a great way to start your Monday. But unfortunately, this happened. You know, Willow is going to be butchered. I know it is. I just know it is.
Unless they give it to somebody who, like they don't care about it, and it's given to somebody who really wants it and does a good job, like Mandalorian, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You know. Anyway, so that is the plot. I think it's a great plot, and it's a simple story, an original story written by George Lucas himself. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the problem about writing good stories?
Yeah. I don't know.
There it is. Valiner. Yes.
Valinor.
He was a Meyer.
I know
Meyer.
nothing of
Meyer.
Lord of the Rings.
No, Meyer. That's the name, Meyer.
Oh.
I remember Meyer. Yep. Thank you, Dunadan. Anyway, so we jump now over to the cast, even though we've been talking a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I think it was spot on.
Yeah.
Know
No, it's a pretty good cast. I mean, I kind of love everybody in their roles. You can't really imagine too many other people being in this.
No.
So.
And well, I've researched a few of them. Well, obviously Warwick Davis is a huge personality.
This was written with him in mind by George Lucas after they did Return of the Jedi, because he was Wicket. For those of you that don't know, he was Princess Leia's little buddy when she crashes on Endor during the bike race or the speeder chase. And he was only 17 when they were filming this too.
Yeah.
So he, I think I had read too, he was like 9 and 10 years older than the kids that were playing his children in the movie. So yeah, he was a lot younger for the character he was playing, but he did a terrific job.
He looks so mature for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
He looks so mature.
Oh
he
yeah.
did an amazing job. And Queen Beth Morda, she has a huge history in acting. And the way that she portrayed it was just plain evil. I mean, she actually interpreted evil.
So I swear, when I was a kid, the last place I lived in Michigan, people lived across the street, the family. The mom looked like Queen Gamora at the end when she's like getting all like evil and sinister. I'm not lying. This lady looked like her, and she was cranky and mean. And every time I watch it, that's who I think of. This mom that lived across the street, because I swear, looked just like her.
The thing is that also, and I was watching it again, I just thought these deaths are so epic. They're so epic. The guy who plays General Cal, I think it is.
Cal. Yeah.
The guy who plays General Cal, the way he dies by his own sword, I was thinking like, whoa, I never really realized. I mean, I knew it was a sword because it's all like this,
Yeah. Well, it's got like saw blades on it too.
Yes.
It's serrated is the best way to describe it. He's got one that's serrated on both sides, and then Sorsha even has one where it's got a saw back on it too. She's got even kind of a pretty wicked sword, but yeah,
that's even more sinister.
Mad Mardigan, tilts it up on an angle and brings him down on it. It is pretty vicious, and that character was played by another George Lucas favorite, Pat Roach, who was, if you've ever watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, he is the big, beefy Nazi mechanic that gets chopped up in the blade during the fight around the airplane. And he even played a Sherpa in the scene when he goes to, I cannot think of Marion, when he goes to see Marion there too. And he's also in, he's always playing bad guys, by the way, in George Lucas films, but he's the he's the large, I can't think of his name, but a thuggy I want to say is
Mhm.
what they're called in Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. The one that gets crushed by the roller. He fights
Ah,
Indiana Jones a lot, and he has horrific deaths. Let's just put it that way. That's what he's really known for. But
okay.
this was kind of, I think, one of his biggest roles he ever did. And
Uh-huh.
same thing when the character was created. George Lucas had
Mhm.
him in mind when he had
Yeah.
created him.
I mean,
But
he's so majestic because and he's when he plays as General
yeah.
Kale.
Well, and he's got
Um,
the skull mask that he wears, helmet. It's
yes.
very menacing, and
Yes. But at the same time, when he, when he's with Beth Morda, when he gives the baby to her, his way that he portrays the general is just so, I can't say it another way, but it's so majestic. It's so, it's so, I don't know how to explain it with another word. Um,
graceful.
Not graceful. No, he's not graceful. But I mean, he has this poise, and you say, this guy is in charge, and he is mean, you know. And the way that he dies, I thought it was like, wow, this is a great way to die. I mean, I don't wish anybody death. I got into a nice Twitter conversation over deaths and wishing people, slow and painful deaths like a week ago, or maybe two. But this guy was like, wow, this was epic. And the way Beth Morda died when she was, I mean, I had seen it so many times, but this time it was impressive because I actually saw right like the details. She's being in she's being uh, surrounded by blood, like literally blood. We don't know whose blood it
Yeah,
is. We some people assume that it's the baby's blood, but we don't
it's a
know.
lot of blood.
It's a lot of blood for an infant, so I
Yeah,
don't think it's from her. I don't think it's from one of her sorcerers either. Could be
yeah.
her blood, maybe. Um, but the way that she is like, yeah, I mean, she's surrounded by blood, and as she turns into blood herself, I was
Yeah.
like thinking, this is creative.
Well,
This
she
is,
gets. I mean, it's lightning too, but she's getting zapped with essentially
yeah, but
lightning.
she turns into a ribbon of blood,
Yeah.
and then she comes out, and I was thinking, what a great performance, because you could see like the pain on the actress's face, that she is being transformed and dissolved into blood, and then and then she goes.
Well, I kind of like they do that effect. You don't really see that a whole lot anymore, but when you get electrocuted and you see your skeleton.
Yes, you see your skull. Yes,
Yeah.
so amazing.
You turn into a big X-ray. Um,
It's like so.
yeah.
Wow. If I mean, and like the CGI is not that really. It's not that good at that time compared to now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean it's good, but it's not great. And I mean, we're talking about the 80s. I mean,
Yeah.
it was developing at that stage. And like, for example, like when Willow shoves this, what was it? I never really.
It was like an evil end table. full
I
full
thought
of bones. Looked like a giant ashtray with legs walking around full of
exactly
bones.
that's what I was thinking. A big ashtray. You know what? It reminded me from Star Wars, like the Imperial.
The probe droid.
Yes, the probe
Yeah.
droid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It always reminded me of that. So, how nice she didn't turn into a river of blood. No, sorry. Avery is mentioning. How did she die? She turned into a river of blood. Nice. Yes, she did.
Yeah.
She did.
She
And
turned
if you
into
haven't seen,
a more so a mist of blood.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it's a mist of blood more than a river. But but like I'm so impressed with this actress, like the one Beth Morda.
Yeah,
So impressed.
I was gonna say, like, she definitely, like, every moment of her was like pure pissed off irritation, evilness.
Yeah,
It's the best way. Like, that was her demeanor the whole time. Like,
yeah,
like, don't, let alone, like, don't sneeze in front of her. If you were
yeah.
to, like, accidentally break wind in front of this lady, she would have killed you.
And I forgot that she killed Laura Dennon's mom at the beginning of the whole movie.
Yeah.
That was I was shocked at the beginning. Like, what? She kills her? Like,
Yeah.
literally? And
This
like,
is
oh, wow.
kind of going back a little bit. The one thing that I wish that would be different about this movie is I wish that kind of when they leave the Nelwyn village to go to where the Daikinis are, I wish they had shortened that sequence down a little bit, and I wish there was a little bit more story of kind of where we got to this, and maybe more so a little bit of like who Laura Dannon was and maybe the lineage there. I wish we had more of that, and I'm sure maybe that was explained elsewhere, but yeah, no, she's killed. Well, she was essentially. It sounded like, I kind of took it as like she was rounding up pregnant women to see if they were going to pop out a baby with this mark on their arm, and it was, yeah, and then as soon as that happened, she was she killed her.
Yeah.
So that is pretty brutal.
So Dan's here. Hi, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
I hope you had a good rest after last night.
Yeah. Did you get all your makeup off?
Nice makeup. I'm gonna have to compete with you there, because I love also using body paint and makeup. And the Dunadan says she sent animals after her. Harsh scene. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know how they did the dogs.
Oh, so the dogs were Rottweilers that they put, rubber masks on, and they did a pretty good job, though. I mean, they're very quick cuts when you see them, but they're definitely menacing. It's like a cross between, it's like a boar, a lion, and a dog. It's like the kind of the way I would describe those. But the midwife, I guess that's who you would call that lady.
Yes.
Yeah, they go after her. But I was going to say we were kind of going about the cast, though.
Yeah.
Joanne Whaley was the daughter, Sorsha. So that's Sorsha. Queen Bamorva's daughter. Which a couple times I feel like they were calling her like Sorcerer, not Sorsha. I don't know why.
Well, it can be a little bit. I would say they were playing with a little bit with the words, huh?
Yeah, but because I was like, wait, is she supposed to be magical too? But I just misheard them. And that for a while after this movie was made, her and Val Kilmer got married, but did later divorce.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yep. But they were married, and then we had Finn Rizal, or
Finn
Rizal.
Rizal.
Is it okay? Yeah. Who was played by Patricia Hayes, who I looked her up a little bit, and she seemed, this was kind of one of her bigger roles. She had a real long career, but it was always a lot of like smaller supporting roles. But not being very familiar with her, I mean, I like her. She was really good, and too. If you've for the first time seeing it too, right? It's this you know, she's kind of pumped up as being this great sorcerer that he's got to go find. And he gets to her, and she's like a little marsupial. She's this little tiny like animal. And, you know, it's like, wait, who are you? What this, you know, little creature talking to him.
Yeah.
And so, you know, once they meet up too, it's kind of Willow's job to try and turn her back into a human. And he, you know, doesn't do so well at first, and he ends up turning her into a goat. Which,
no, it was a crow first.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. The crow. First, it was a crow, and then the goat. But then, you know, too, when she's the goat, you know, she's talking like a goat too. She's like, "Good work, again." I think she even like knocks it. You know, she like headbutts a guy, and his butt knocks him off a bridge and kills him. So, you know, and then too, when we see her too, you know, it's, you know, she kind of isn't what you're expecting. She's, you know, this older woman too, which, you know, we kind of learn she's been, you know, essentially transformed into an animal for a very long time.
Yes.
But yeah, she did a really great job. I like the battle. Too, especially like, you know, because it's two older women just like going at it, flinging, you know, each other across the room. But it's to me, I think it's funny because there is that moment where she gets like you know, she gets like a pillar thrown on top of her, and then she turns around, she takes her wand, and she takes the queen, and she's like flinging her against the wall, bashing her around, and then she's like spinning her around. Like, I don't know how you could have done that seriously.
No, they must have had a lot of fun doing that.
I know. Like, what are you gonna do here? I don't know. Just say some gibberish, and you know, however you think you would, you know, magically spin somebody around in the air and throw them into a wall. Whatever voice you think you would make for that.
And you know, the thing that you mentioned it when she asks Willow to change her, to transform her into a human. That's where you see how he like the character development, because at the beginning he's like, first of all, he's like, yeah, I'm a great sorcerer, but you know that he lacks complete confidence. And then when she asks him to do it, he's like, I can't do it, you know?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the second time, he's like, are you sure? I mean, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm not doing this. The third time, again, he lacks confidence, and that's why he changes her into a goat, you know? Well, obviously this epic battle with this creature, two-headed, flame-throwing vicious monster comes out of the troll and stuff like that. But you can see like the lack of confidence is what is hindering him from doing this magic spell and transforming her back. And at the end, you know, when she finally gets it, you could see that he's trying very hard. He believes in himself, you know, he believes in himself. And that's what I love about it. You know, you could see like the different stages, you know.
And there's kind of a unique character trait with that too. I don't know, because they never explain why, or maybe, you know, if there's something that's happened to him. But, you know, every time he does magic, like he's doing powerful magic, afterwards he's always grabbing his wrist. He's like, you know, and they never get into why he's got pain there. Like, you know, other than you're just assuming it takes a lot out of him, and you know, for whatever reason, his magical hand or his main hand, you know, it hurts him. You know.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, you know, I always thought that after Finn Rizal bit his finger and he passed like his blood over the wand, they had a connection. And why did I get to that conclusion? Because when Elora Danan just kind of disappears into a place where no evil can touch her, you know, which was the pig disappearing trick.
Yeah.
his hand starts to hurt, and Finn Rizal regains consciousness. So that's why I thought, wait a second, there's a connection between these two now, you know, a magical connection, but it can't be that his hand hurts and then she regains consciousness as if he was passing his life force, his energy to her, you know? So I always thought it was that.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that. But now that you mention it, that very well could be. There definitely was some stuff deleted from this movie for pacing, things like that. So that could have been potentially a plot point. The sorcerer Nelwyn was played by the great Billy Barty, who has played a lot of fantasy characters and even comedy roles. He's actually in a movie that is on my list. You might do, I don't know when, but he was in UHF with Weird Al. I'm trying to think of a couple other ones. I cannot think.
He did several. I just don't remember what.
Yeah, I can't think right off the top of my head, but his part was great too because everybody looks to him because he's kind of the leader of the village, and he does see a lot of potential in Willow, and he's very honest with him too compared to everybody else. Where there's a moment where he's like, which finger holds all the power in the universe, and everybody's got to pick. And Willow's the last, and he's really thinking about it, and he doesn't pick the right finger. And he asks, and he's like, "Why did you pick that? What were you thinking?" And Willow goes, "Well, really, I was thinking it was me." And he's like, "That was the right answer," which really kind of shows more so it's confidence is what he was looking for. It's not really there was magic in the finger. And then I'm trying to think of what he had said, but he kind of made like an indication of, or it was the bones when he's like, the bones are going to speak. And he's like, the bones ain't telling me anything, but it was kind of like, it was like he was scamming them everybody too, which I kind of thought was funny, but, and he really kind of just, it's more so, it's like, what he's really doing is he's like, okay, the bones are going to speak, and he's waiting to see who's going to react and how. Who's either going to react positively or negatively, like where we see, Willow's nemesis, Bertlecut, which I love saying that name, Bertlecut, where, he's kind of like, he kind of mocks it, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to be the leader of the group." And, not only that too, he's looking for volunteers, and the best warrior of the group, he's like, "No, he can't go. He's the best warrior." Then when he gets picked to be the leader, he's like, "You're coming with us."
Well, we have an unpopular opinion here.
Oh.
We do. We have an unpopular opinion, and it says,
"Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get crucified, but I never liked this movie." And you guys have to convince me that it's a fun, awesome movie.
Are you not listening to us right now? All the fun we're having talking about this?
No, he's not. He's probably not. So, and Avery says, "Dan, did the Joker take over your life? Most likely." Okay, but that's okay. But like I said, it's an unpopular opinion. You're talking to a person who did like Dance with the Wolves. So we have our differences.
Wait, Dan didn't like Dances with Wolves?
No. Yeah, I think he wasn't that big of a fan, if I'm not mistaken.
You crazy, Dan. Now, don't pick on Dan either about it. Don't be calling him a clown, even though he likes to dress up like one.
Yes.
You're not going to shame anybody for their opinions, as crazy as they are.
And even though we don't like them, but that's okay.
Yes. But it's okay. We still forgive Dan, and we still love him.
And Gato, hey, Gatito,
yeah.
Glad to see you here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. He does. He's like, "We're going to follow the bird," and he throws this bird up. And they're like, "It's going back to the village." Ignore the bird, follow the river. You're right. That's another great moment with him. Yes. But and it's funny too because he does give Willow, he's like, here's some magic acorns, and he tells him whatever you throw them at, they turn into stone. And the first time you watch it, you're a little skeptical because you're like, well, he's kind of full of BS, there's, right? I mean, he's nothing more than just a really good, magician. He's not, I mean, it's all just for show. And then when you actually do see that he actually drops one of those acorns, he's fighting the troll, and you do see it turns into stone. It's, I feel like it was meant to be a little bit more shocking than the way it was edited and filmed. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of one of those, it's like, he does have a little bit of like, oh my God, they're real. He does have that kind of like real surprised moment, more so by, not that he dropped it, but that it did turn it to stone.
Yeah, it's true. And let's see, another great cast. Now, the two brownies, but before I get into that, for everybody, you should know that these characters, these little dwarves, because they are dwarves, they actually played in another series called Fairy Tale Theater, in which Shelley Duvall, who was in The Shining, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I remember that show.
She hired really great people for a fairy tale, okay? And she actually had, I think it was Migosh, if I'm not mistaken, but I definitely know it was one of the warriors, like the best warrior. He was on as a little dwarf in Snow White in that show. So I already knew him like from Willow and from that other show. So that was really amazing, And they found all these dwarves. They found them. It was so cool.
There's, I won't name them all, but in the band, he's kind of at the bottom of the screen is Kenny Baker, who is R2D2.
Oh my God.
Is in that scene. And it's unconfirmed, but it was funny. I pointed out to my wife while we were watching it, and she's like, that is him. But, oh gosh, now I cannot. So he's doing at like the festival, he's doing the magic with, he takes the log and he puts the flaming stick through it. When you're watching that to the back left, there's a person who does look a lot like Peter Dinklage, but it's not confirmed if it's him or not. But I mean, he certainly could have, he was alive. He was a teenager at the time where he could have been playing an extra, but it looks like there's a guy who looks just like Peter Dinklage to the back left during that scene.
Wow.
But it's not confirmed or not. But yeah, I mean, everybody that they did get for that was impressive. And there's a lot of people too. I mean, it's not like there was just like, 24 of them. I mean, they got like 80 people.
Yeah. No, there are a lot. There was an entire village. And it's so fun. It's so fun to watch all the entire village of dwarves all over the place.
Yeah.
So I really want to get into the brownies because that comic relief was so good. It was so awesome. So my fun fact is brownies let me rephrase it. Brownies are a part of the Celtic lore. So as probably everybody in this chat room who are awesome know, I am a storyteller, traditional storyteller, and I'm really into Celtic. Yes, swing hugs for everybody.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't get in. Anyway, I'm really into Celtic lore, and I have done my research on brownies. So brownies are part of that lore, and they are mischievous, okay? They are small, and also they are extremely helpful. And they like to help and amazingly, they don't like to be thanked you know. So, but yeah, but brownies are a big deal in that lore. And yes, they do like to help when they see it. So, for example, if you guys remember the story of the shoemaker and the elves, that's a classic story of brownies, for example. You know, of course, they do not necessarily dress like those brownies. Yeah, but and I do not know if they like beer. If they like beer, that's great because I love beer. You know, it's like one of my favorite drinks.
They all of their lines were definitely the best, though. I mean, just their little commentary. One of the best ones is when they get to like the tavern and they stumble upon Mad Mardigan, and he's like, "I know you, Daikini. Hey, I stole the bag from you while you were taking a pee-pee." Yeah, my son loved that line. He was giggling when he heard that.
And then, of course, when Mad Mardigan says, "You're infested with brownies," no? And it was like, ah, I hate brownies, you know?
Yeah. Well, the two main brownies are Rule and Fragine, right? And they're both played by actors that are starting their careers as stand-up comedians. Rule is played by Kevin Pollak, and so he was the guy with the little mouse hat on.
Yeah.
Fragine was played by Rick Overton, who Kevin Pollak's probably a little bit more recognized, but Rick Overton, if you've ever seen Groundhog's Day, he was one of the drunk guys in the car when they're escaping from the police and they get pulled over, and he's like, "I could go for some flapjacks." He was actually in The Rocketeer, by the way. He had a tiny part in The Rocketeer. The scene when the Rocketeer is flying in the South Seas Club, he's like the British guy. He's like, "It's the Rocketeer." That's him too.
Oh gosh, I gotta go see that again.
Yeah. He's like real clean cut and everything. And then if anybody ever watches the U.S. version of The Office, he is Pam's dad on The Office.
Okay.
So.
Haven't seen it. Not even the British one.
Well,
sorry.
Well, if you ever come over to our house, it is playing 24/7.
Oh,
it's on
really?
a TV in our house. Yes, in the background somewhere. It's probably playing right now as they're watching. My wife and son are watching this downstairs. They probably got another TV on with The Office.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after that, well, obviously they feel like they're big people, and they call Warwick
Willow.
a peck. I'm like, yeah, Willow.
Yeah.
And Eamon Faye, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. She says, or
yes.
We go
that way to the lake.
No. It's that way. Or when it goes up, he's like, "Shut up, or I'll break your nose." So, and Tim, oh, wow, Tim, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Tim.
Welcome to After the Weekend. So we were just talking about brownies.
Yep, not the food.
Not the food. Yeah, brownies. And well, yeah, I mean, their lines are just like spot on, you know. And they really do have a comic relief. I mean, every time you see them, you just laugh. You know, they were perfect for the scene.
Yeah.
And when he takes off his rat hat,
and he's bald. He's got the big old. He's got like clown hair almost. He's kind of got like bozo hair. Yeah, and everybody's like, you know, kind of caught off by it. And you know, they filmed all of that after they filmed, you know, the primary photography. They filmed that just in the Bay Area and threw them in there. So that's another interesting thing too. Like, imagine making that film and you're like, okay, you got to pretend that there's two guys that are 4 inches tall,
Yes.
running around you. Like that's got to be like an interesting thing to pretend about. Like imagine there's 4-inch tiny people running around everywhere, wild people.
It's a pity that the what was her name? The big huge fairy. I just love how they put in Celtic lore in that movie, because you got brownies, you got fairies, and you got this sorceress. Kind of reminds me, kinda, Dunedain, don't kill me, kind of like Galadriel, but
yeah.
But it's amazing how they just integrated all these very, very smoothly. Everything just fits. Everything just takes its place. And obviously there's a peck with an acorn pointing at me.
Yeah.
So Val Kilmer isn't exactly my favorite actor. I think he has he hasn't had really good movies personally. That's my opinion. I don't know if that is an unpopular
Well, if you talk to Dan and Tabitha and Dax, they all think he's a wonderful Batman, which I was the only one where I was like, he was okay.
Okay. A wonderful Batman.
But he's, maybe if you kind of go like his leading movies, not necessarily, but he is really good in Top Gun. He's terrific in Tombstone as Doc Holliday. He's example, that one in particular is superb. Yeah, the Saint. He even too. It's not like it's anything iconic, but like he was in that sci-fi movie. It's about like 15, 20 years now, but it's Deja Vu with Denzel Washington. He plays like an FBI agent in that. So he's got some good roles. It's funny, the person who was trying really hard to play Mad Mardigan, which it's funny, but I don't see him playing the character. I think Val Kilmer was a better choice, but was John Cusack, and he's like, it's the one role that he wishes he could have gotten. Like it's the one thing that like always bugged him, that he wasn't able to get it. But yeah, John Cusack tried really hard for this role, and I don't picture him.
Thank you, God, it didn't happen.
With the long hair and the sword, I just don't see him pulling that off at all.
No way. I mean, Val Kilmer was the perfect choice in my opinion. And when he has the dust of broken heart, sprayed on him, the change. He was like, yeah, I feel good. And then he starts sprouting poetry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sha. Yeah. No, it was
and, well, they make fun of him about it too, and he's like, I was not. He has a line though too that I like. There's a moment where I'm assuming it must be something like more like tobacco. I feel like it's the black root. He's chewing on this, and he's giving it to the baby, and he's like, you don't give her that, and he takes it out of his mouth and he throws it into this pool by a waterfall, and he's like, did you see that? He took our black root. That's okay, I'll get some more.
Well, our mother raised us on black root. It's good for you. Puts hair on her chest. Doesn't it, Sticks? And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
a woman with
she doesn't need a hairy chest. Yeah, they never kind of get into why he calls her Sticks. That nickname, like what the backstory is there, but yeah, he calls the baby Sticks.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Avery has an unpopular opinion here, and it says, sorry for saying this, Maria, but John is my Ben Stiller. You don't like John Cusack? Okay, that's fair enough. I guess I'll bear in mind if we ever do a John Cusack movie.
I have some on my list. Be warned.
Oh, right. I love you, Sorsha. I don't love her. She kicked me in the face. I hate her. Don't I? Yeah. Yeah. That was so good.
And well, another great scene that we do need to talk about is when they get to Tiras Lee, where they think there's going to be this big army, and in fact they show up and it's this kind of decrepit castle, and everybody there has been turned into stone. Which there is a deleted scene that I've watched it, and it's definitely, it wasn't done very well. You can see why they cut it. But Sorsha's dad is actually one of those people in the stone. And in fact, at the end of the movie, there is like a big, tall, wizard-looking guy, kind of looks like a wizard. That's her dad. That is her dad.
Oh.
And so, for whatever reason, you kind of, in the deleted scenes, you kind of hear a little bit more about the backstory of her dad. And, you know, it sounds like her dad tried to stop Bavmora, or Bavmora. And, you know, she went against him, and she put him inside the stone. But that scene,
I was actually wondering about her dad. So
yeah. So he does pop up. We just don't hear about it. But that's the scene. You know, when they get to the castle, it's they don't really get into it a lot, but it's it's infested with trolls. Which the best way to describe them is they kind of look like little tiny Sasquatches. It's like how I would almost describe them. Like
okay.
Yeah, they're very limber Sasquatches that can climb up walls.
I would have thought of them as like more like humanoid gorillas.
Well, that's what Sasquatch is. That's what Bigfoot is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. And they're creepy too. You know.
Yes, they are.
And there was only one troll that somebody played. They had an acrobat play the character. We see, you know, I want to say at least 4 in the movie, but it was all just played by one person. You know, they kind of don't really explain what happens, but Willow kind of, you know, shoots magic at him, and it does it like its flesh melts off and it turns into like this giant egg, and we see it's kind of like a xenomorph a little bit, like pops out of this egg. There's 2 of them, and he kicks it off, but turns into a giant dragon. And that the dragon was all animated by Phil Tippett, who did a lot of all the stop motion animation for Star Wars. In particular, he did the Hoth scene and the Rain Corps in Return of the Jedi.
You know, it did remind me of that creature, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very Star Wars looking. You know, when you kind of look at it, that looks like something that you could have seen in Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, since we were talking about creepy, I think one of the creepiest, and actually it does kind of, you know, sorry to say it again, but it creeps me out. The part when they turn into pigs.
Yeah, that's a little scary too.
It was so well done. I thought I wasn't able to watch it again now that I'm like an adult, because it scared me. It scared the heck out of me when I was a kid. You know, it's extremely dark.
It's very much, it reminds me of like, and it's funny because the one person who turned into pig ended up being in this movie, you know, about 10 years later. But it's very Island of Dr. Moreau. You know, because they're all like, people, half pig. And a fun fact about that scene is a lot of the pigs were trying to hump each other, so they were constantly throwing buckets of cold water on the pigs to get them to separate.
wanted to breed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, no, I think it was a brilliant scene. Very well done. You can see like the makeup, and I'm really into makeup and prosthetics, and I will be putting up on my YouTube. I'm going to be putting up on my Twitter account a few, not prosthetics, but at least a few of the makeups that I've done in the past, since we are in like the spooky season. I think you guys saw me once with the cracked face. And I said, oh, well, it's time to, make my Twitter get a little bit moving, and yeah, so I had like the cracked face and stuff, but the prosthetics on that one was just so brilliant. And the way that he transforms, like the Val Kilmer at the beginning,
Yeah, and he gets the tusks, yeah,
the tusks, and then afterwards, like the
is.
whole thing, just changing. It was like so brilliant. Wow. It's scary. It's really creepy. So anyway, I think it's one of the best scenes, as in creepy wise, really well done. I think little kids nowadays, well, if they haven't watched, again, like I said in my other podcast, if they haven't seen like movies like The Army of the Dead, this scene does
so
give an impact.
My son's 7, and I kind of wonder when that came up, if he was going to be freaked out by it, but he didn't really kind of react too much to it. So
all right. That's good.
I agree though. Like I kind of was like, oh, like what's going to happen here? But it's just one of those. I think it kind of depends on the kid. But yeah, if you know you have a little one that is real skittish about that stuff, then it might be a scene to kind of cover their eyes a little bit, because it is a little freaky. But
I mean, it's a dark movie.
Yeah.
In general.
Oh, it is. And then right after that moment, in the tent, when he finally changes Rizal back into human form, that was the first time that they ever did morphine in a movie. ILM did.
That's very cool.
At the time, that was all of a pretty big sequence.
Okay, wow. And you know who's joined us right now? Oh my gosh.
Oh, hey. Hey, well, hey, good to hear, Ro.
Good to hear.
Happy to hear, yes.
So good. I'm really happy for you. And we at the beginning, we were saying that, if he's free and he wants to hop on, just go ahead. And if not, we are definitely going to have another podcast with you. But yeah. So happy to hear that. And well, I think we covered practically everything. From deaths to morphine to to comic relief. It's a complete movie. I just love this movie, and the music. The music is so inspiring.
Oh, yeah, it's good music. And George Lucas has a knack of always making like really good, like I don't know how you would describe it, but like the when they're having the festival, like that music really made me think of like Ewok music. You know what I mean? Like something with him and little people and music. He's always got some kind. He must have something in mind for what they would listen to.
It's amazing. Well, I'm kind of these rare people. I don't know if they're rare, but at least they don't come out of the closet, you could say. I'm kind of these rare people who really enjoy listening to actual soundtrack music. I mean, literally search for it. I've heard that Avatar has a really good soundtrack. I haven't seen the movie. I'm not really interested, but I heard that the soundtrack was really good. And Willow is actually is one of my favorite soundtracks, because it's an extremely moving music. And just before we go, hey, Dunadan, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming.
We're almost wrapping this up anyway, so don't worry about it. We try to keep this between an hour and an hour and a half maximum. So yeah, have a good night, and
you too.
I hope to see you.
Thank you for being here.
Thursday. Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, and while I was doing the poster for tonight's After the Weekend, I was actually listening to Willow. You know, said I need to get inspired. You know, I need to get inspired. So I was listening to that, and I thought, like, wow, this is really good. This is like very moving. You know?
Yeah.
So
no, it's got a really, really good score. Well, there are 3 Willow books, so the story did continue later with 3 books, and they were actually written by George Lucas and Chris Claremont. And if you're not familiar with Chris Claremont, he's really well known for writing comic books, especially X-Men in the late 70s and 80s. You know, he kind of really helped popularize them. Yeah, that's the second book there.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
There you go. That's the second book.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So Shadow Moon is the first book. Shadow Dawn is the second, and then Shadow Star is the third book. I've not read any of these, so I don't know what the story is there. But if you are a big Willow fan and you want more Willow, that's a great way to get your Willow fix. If you do want to throw them up real quick, they did do a toy line that was not very popular, but I do remember having a few of these as a kid. Tonka did a line of Willow toys.
There it is. So this would be an interesting take for Rayron, since he's really into collectibles. But I don't know if he would like to collect these. They're extremely rare. I can imagine now.
Yeah, and I do remember having a General Kale, the one where he's got the sword sticking straight up. I had that one. That's the only one that I really remember having as a kid. I don't ever remember having a dragon. I don't even think I realized that they made one, but that's kind of neat. And then on top of the dragon, you see the troll. He looks like he's got baseball gloves on.
And so I'm just going to pop on here. Wow!
Hey, welcome.
God.
Welcome.
How's it going, everybody?
Good. Glad to have you.
Late to the party.
Well,
no worries at all.
I missed all the good stuff, man.
Wow,
I heard you guys talking about morphing and ILM and Ron Howard. I'm like, that's what I was going to say.
Well, at least we didn't miss any facts, because we do know that you are a huge Willow fan. So
yes,
we're trying to make sure we were covering everything for everybody.
That's awesome. I think, my friends and I, we talk about movies all the time at work, and Willow is right up there. You know, Star Wars, obviously. Indiana Jones is probably my second favorite franchise, and then Willow's like right behind there. I mean, it's a special film. It's it didn't do super well at the box office, but it has it was made with a lot of love, and you can tell a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it definitely deserves.
Nice to finally meet you guys too, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, nice to meet you. Yes, nice to meet you. So I was actually saying, and at the beginning, because it's kind of like Labyrinth, that at the beginning, when it first came out, Labyrinth did not do well at the box office. Right. And then afterwards, like years later, there's like definitely a cult and a special place in people's hearts for that movie. And when you say Labyrinth, they're like, oh, that's such a good movie.
Right.
But during their time in theaters, it didn't do well,
Right.
And R2 was going to say something. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to say, Willow is too something. I mean, again, rewatching it, recently a few times. It's such a good movie. It's something that I wish there was more Willow adventures on the screen. And they are going to do a series on Disney Plus. Fingers crossed that they do it justice. But it is a really, really good film, and it definitely doesn't probably get the love that it deserves.
Exactly. Did you guys cover the little dig that George Lucas made against Siskel and Ebert?
I know what you're talking about, but no, we didn't.
No, we didn't. It's all yours.
So, obviously Siskel and Ebert were very famous movie reviewers, and they have always given George a bad rap as a filmmaker, some of the movies that he has done, obviously. And the dragon at the end, towards the end, and I forgot the name of it, but the name of the dragon is kind of a reversed spelling of Siskel and Ebert. And he did it purposely to kind of give him a little, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about what R2 said about making more movies, because I just feel that it's so complete. I mean, this is a story of a hero arc, and it starts with somebody who has his confidence is hugely undermined, and he aspires to something, but he knows that he's just a farmer. He knows he's somebody with no real power, but he aspires to something. And then when he's given the job, just like the Hobbit, he's given the job, like he goes through this metamorphosis all the way to becoming the hero and the person that he wanted to be. And I think that just it completes the whole story. So I wouldn't know if I would actually want a new series or something to delve with. I think novels are fine, but a movie, I don't know.
For the era, though, I'm talking about like George Lucas being able to make another Willow during that time. Like he was hoping it was going to be a big success, and would that have been another Star Wars, another Indiana Jones franchise?
Okay.
That's interesting too, because I almost think about it's got a lot of very similar things to Star Wars. Obviously, the hero's journey, as we all talk about that. I as far as another movie, I wouldn't mind seeing it, because any more Willow is great. I am also cautiously optimistic about the series that they're going to be doing and releasing on Disney Plus. But I think the character of Mardigan, played wonderfully by Val Kilmer, he almost reminds me of a Han Solo. And I think after a while, and Harrison Ford kind of had a point to a degree. Where do you go with that character? Obviously in the Disney Star Wars films, for me, he seemed like he devolved. There was no growth after Return of the Jedi, and I would kind of feel the same way about Mad Mardigan. He's this larger than life kind of like slimy character when we first meet him. He does have some growth. He falls in love. He helps out on the mission. Where do you go from that? Does he become a general of the rebellion? Does he very similar things to Han Solo? And it almost seems like the filmmakers of the sequel trilogy didn't know how to deal with Han Solo after the original trilogy. And I feel like those kinds of issues and those kinds of problems might be similar to a character like Mad Mardigan in any new sequel that would come out. And obviously Val Kilmer has some health issues, and it wouldn't be him. But if a movie were to have come out back in the day, would we be talking about the same issues? So, but I'm all for seeing Willow, seeing that world again. It was a lot of fun, and I'm all there.
I think you kind of remind me of what they did with Dark Crystal, because they did launch a series of Dark Crystal afterwards, like recently, probably 2 years ago, and it did good. It actually did very well. It hit a soft spot for all the Dark Crystal fans, because they were able to grab the lore and like the spirit of Dark Crystal and put it into a series. Unfortunately, they stopped. So right. I'm not really sure if they finished the series or if they just cut the budget and say, okay, we're done. I'm not really sure, but from what I heard, it was really well done by people probably who who love that movie, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And I did hear it was just really super expensive to make, and it wasn't getting the numbers for some reason. You know, it's, a lot of times too, like these movies that are kind of rebooted or rehashed, sometimes I feel like they come out like too late. Like the older generation that grew up with these, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, we'd be like, oh my God, this is so fantastic. And we'd, you know, rally the troops to go see it. But nowadays it's like, you know, maybe maybe the newer fans aren't really familiar. So there's no nostalgia that plays a role in viewing these movies and these series. And I think that's unfortunate. I could be wrong, but I think, you know, and I fall under that trap too. I didn't see the Dark Crystal stuff. There's just so much to watch too. At some point, you're like, oh my God, you know, I got to catch up on this. I got to catch up on that. So, but yeah, it's you know, a show like Lost in Space, which I absolutely love, the new Netflix series, is something too that, you know, obviously they tried with a movie that kind of was a mixed bag. But this series has been amazing. I watched it with my son. We enjoyed it. Season 1, season 2. Each episode was like a little self-contained movie, and we're super excited for December. Season 3, it's coming back, the last final season. But yeah, it's, you know, I wonder how much of that really is, you know, okay, we're trying something, but we should have tried it like 10, 15 years ago. It just seems like, you know, Hollywood is trying to kind of go back to some of the stuff that worked back then, and it just might not work now.
Yeah.
You know? I've heard a lot of people say, you know, just come up with new ideas. But that's a crapshoot too, because, you know, we're, as fans, as sci-fi fans and fantasy fans, I think we're kind of fickle. Give us something new. No, we like the old stuff. Like, where do you draw the line? I don't know. You know, I for one, you know, we talk about this on Scarif, on our show. We talk about fan service. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Is it needed? And I think, you know, a lot of people think that fan service is kind of like the 4-letter word when it comes to fans. But, you know, you have to, you know, when you're relaunching something, there's got to be something familiar in it if you're going to put that label on it. You know, you can't make Star Wars without a certain number of things that are inherently Star Wars. And that in itself is fan service, I think. But yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing coming up with something new or not.
I don't know if Rick, you want to...
No, I definitely agree with Ro there. It's tough. I think, you know, I'll give the example of where I think, you know, where it works is like Mandalorian, in the sense of we felt like we were back in Star Wars, but we did get something new there. Yeah. And I think that's why everybody loved it so much, is we got that same feeling, but they weren't just doing the exact same thing. And even too, like, I know for some people they feel a little bit different, but I kind of even feel that's why kind of all like the new movies, it kind of seems like Rogue One was kind of the one that
absolutely
I feel like most people liked, is because, again, we were back to that world that we loved. It very nostalgia, but we did get something new. We got all new characters. We got a slightly newer story, even though it was something that was filling in a gap between two. I think that's, you know, that's really kind of the key with bringing some of this stuff back, is don't just remake it. Don't, you know,
don't rehash
try to make it. Don't try to make it better. It's that you build upon what we love. Yeah. That's what they need to do. Build it up. Don't tear it down to make it better.
Absolutely. I always say that Rogue One is a love letter to Star Wars fans. Yeah. It's as if they found footage from the 70s and then put this movie back together. And you know, watching a lot of I'm a very technical guy. You know, I'm a news photographer, behind the scenes kind of guy, so I love watching all that stuff. And that's really what got me into my career, is watching all those men and women at ILM just do their thing. I wanted to be able to do that. So it's fascinating the work that went into, putting that movie together, because they went back to the archives, and not only did they use some old footage, but they called back some of the actors to kind of, give them a couple of lines just to kind of tie it all together. It's just, it's fabulous. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
I think the same. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
No, it's just that I was gonna comment on that. I'm probably one of the few people who really, really like, as in really love Rogue One, because I have met a lot of people say, no, it was just boring. No, it's not Star Wars. And I said, no, this movie, I felt that it was giving me something new. It was giving me story. It was giving me a plot. And it was giving me a character, which I really don't care if she's female, as long as she's flawed and she redeems herself and makes herself a better person. And the way that they finished it was, say, okay, this is a good story, And like you said, you got footage, you got people, and you have the old, but they knew how to put together something fresh and new, and gives you some sort of building block from there on, and before that, now that they're rebooting, for example, Matrix, like 20 years later, I feel like Hollywood is trying to get back to their old glory, because they've been in the declining since then, and it's like, no, I mean, don't touch what's already good. You don't need to fix what's not broken. And anyway, so I think that Rogue One, for example, did that. And if they expand on the Willow, but not trying to make better what's already well done, they say, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's just that after seeing so many beloved franchise just being butchered, I mean, literally butchered, it's just like, no, please don't touch that stuff, just leave it alone, leave it in its glory, and just pass on to something else,
Like they just announced that they're going to be redoing Lost Boys. I'm like, why?
We don't need
Please.
it. We don't need it. They're giving us stuff that we don't need, So
yeah, and it's unfortunate. I think obviously the Hollywood's run by suits that think about the bottom line. We see it all the time. Give us the Snyder cut, because the suits are the ones that edited and made that film, and now the Snyder cut or whatever, you can have your opinions on it, but it's been pretty popular, and everybody wants the director who directed the film to release their version of it, because 9 times out of 10 it'll probably be better than some guy in a suit pushing a pencil on a spreadsheet. But yeah, we'll see.
But anyway, we're running out of time, Rose. So I was really glad that you hopped on.
Absolutely.
Just at
Sorry,
the end,
I missed the bulk
it's okay.
of it.
That's okay. It was great meeting you, and it was great seeing so many good people in the chat.
Yeah.
So we got Dan, who just loves my hoodie.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Nice.
I really don't know why he loves so much the city. And by the way, Dan, I have had people down here in South America. I live in Peru, by the way, Ro.
Nice.
So I've had people ask me about the hoodie. And I said, well, these are my friends, actually. And I was like, okay, so this is Tabitha. This is David. This is Dan. I don't know who this guy is. And I say, he's probably the guy who sketched it. Because I always seem to forget this guy right here.
Matthew.
So Dan,
That's Matthew.
Okay, so that's Matthew. Now I know. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and Avery's always there, and Ray Ron with his our podcast with the collectibles. So
Yeah.
Cool
yeah.
beans. Well,
So
anytime you guys want to talk geek stuff, hit me up. I love
oh
talking.
yeah,
Sounds good.
that's great. Well,
Yeah.
coming up we have this week, by the way, for everybody who's interested, and I know a lot of people just love are discovering this new podcast. This Thursday, don't forget, Unlocking Lore, this side right here. I have my storytelling podcast wrote because I am a traditional storyteller. I love just, the old stuff, just telling old Celtic tales or old tales in general. And I have my podcast, which is a 45-minute story in which we chat and I tell a story and then we chat again.
Nice.
Very simple, extremely simple, but it's magical. So you're welcome to listen to that. Those are Thursdays, 8:15 Central Time. And then next week, I have my Crochet Collectibles and Chatting podcast with Rayron. And Rayron has this huge collection of geek stuff, mainly anime and manga.
Nice.
So yeah, we're all full of geeks,
Yep.
Absolutely.
We're here.
And then I guess
Love
we
it.
need to announce our next show, what we'll be reviewing.
Yes, we will be reviewing.
We're going to review Big Trouble in Little China.
Very nice.
I
One
have
of my
never seen
all-time.
this movie.
Oh man, it's
Oh,
one
you've
of my
never seen
all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna
I
love
have
it.
to say, I haven't seen who's the main actor. What was his name?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
Okay, I've only seen Kurt Russell in Stargate. That's all I've seen him in.
You also have to see Escape from New York,
Okay.
The Thing.
The Thing, obviously. Yeah, we got to give you a list, Maria.
Okay, but before I do that, Ro, I just want to present to you.
That's nice. You crocheted that?
Yes, and
Very beautiful. Oh my God.
yeah, he's a double masker, by the way. So as always, he's still up for sale.
Nice.
No.
Oh, you got to
And
show
I'll
him
send
your other one too.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to show them all. I mean, when do I get a Scuttlebutt on my channel? I'm going to have more, though, that's for sure. And I have
Oh, that is beautiful. Are you kidding me? That
the
is
one and
awesome.
only Ahsoka Tano, hand embroidered, done
Wow.
all the way down
That's
to her
beautiful.
feet. Her double lightsabers, as always. This is one of my favorite characters, I have to say. Apart
Yeah.
from Cara Dune, I would have wanted her to be like more developed, Cara Dune. But yeah. So
What do you
collectibles.
use for the body, the infrastructure, the skeleton?
This one is some sort of steel, some sort of metal.
Like a
This one's
little
specific.
frame?
Yeah, no, it does have a wire frame, but it's extremely hard. So this one does not bend. However, this one here is copper. This one here is copper. So this one was my last one that I finished. This is Princess Serenity. Again, everything is embroidered by me. The only thing that is not done by me is this little skirt because
dress,
I do not know how to sew. But the part underneath is crocheted by me. Yeah.
Very nice. That is awesome.
So
So much talent on the internet.
there is. There is. So Ro's reaction is our reaction. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Now let's see who wants to buy them. I'm currently working on Aragon from Lord of the Rings, and he's going to be up for sale. But I think I already have a buyer. He's not here at the moment. He left. But yeah, that's what I do in my free time.
Very nice. Where are they available?
They're available on Etsy, or if you purchase from me directly. Either way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But they're there. So Never seen a crocheted character, huh?
No, not as beautiful as that Ahsoka.
Oh, you love the Ahsoka.
Yeah.
She's one of a kind. And
That
her
is-
Lekus.
It's gorgeous.
Lekus are original. I do not have a pattern for this. I do have a base pattern for the body, but the rest is just pure, creativity. It's like, how do I do this? Okay, let's do it like this.
Very nice. Very nice.
So anyway, well, I'm sorry, guys. It is time to go. It has been a blast. Believe me, I have had so much fun with this movie. We didn't get really into the musical score, but if you guys want to listen to it, it's on Spotify. Definitely, I've been listening to it. So.
Yep.
Have to check it out.
Yeah.
That's one of those songs that one of the soundtracks that I usually hum. If I don't know if my friends and I are doing something, it's it's either a Star Wars song or Willow or Indiana Jones. We just run down the hall, pretend a large boulder is chasing us, just whatever. Just having a lot of fun. I love movies.
But that makes me think of when I was like 10. We went to Mexico, and me and my cousin got whips, and we played Indiana Jones. We'd be like, throw me the idol, throw me the whip, throw me the idol.
Throw me the idol, I'll throw you a whip. Maria, do you speak Spanish?
I do. I do
awesome.
speak Spanish.
I think 2 years ago, I did an all Spanish Scuttlebutt show with my reporter friend Cesar, who I used to work with here in Chicago, and Raul Mares from Mexico. He's part of the 501st, and we did a whole 2-hour discussion on Star Wars. It was really cool. We have a lot of followers from Spain, which is really nice. And I've been wanting to do a special Spanish only show. We don't have a lot of Spanish speakers followers in the States, but we do pull them from Florida, obviously. But I'm surprised whenever I log on to our little site and check out where people are listening to. There's a lot of Spain and Australia.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are. I know there are a lot of Peruvians all over the place. I mean, literally. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Australia is one of the places that they migrate a lot to.
Cool. Yeah.
So, and the States. So, and you would be amazed. Florida, California has a lot of Spanish speakers.
Very nice.
But yeah, and if you have it on again, please invite me.
Absolutely.
I'm self-inviting myself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah. Well, R2, I think it's time to say goodnight to our friends.
I think so too.
For staying on.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
it was great to have you.
So much.
Yeah, anytime. I'll be back with
We'd love
whistles
to have you.
on.
Yeah, great.
I love talking this stuff. It usually goes by like that, even if it's 2 hours or 10 minutes. It usually goes by fast. So I'm glad I joined you guys at the tail end. And again, count me in. You guys have another topic, I'd love to kind of join you guys.
Oh, we have several.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Good night, Dan.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good day. Have a good day. It's Friday. Sam is in Dubai. He always joins us. And I'll see you guys this coming Thursday.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Good night.
Bye.